Well, hello dear viewers, this is Wolf and welcome to Level Up Reviews. Today we will talk about Wizardry spin-off game, Nemesis The Wizardry Adventures. Let's jam! ShareAlike was doing quite well after the release of Wizardry 7, but at the same time sales of role-playing games in general were on the low. According to Robert ShareAlike, most likely reason for this was the fact that RPGs were way too long, not to mention the difficulty level. This discouraged a lot of players from getting into RPGs. More popular genres at this time were adventure and point-and-click games. This is why the company decided to make sort of a hybrid game, a point-and-click adventure game combined with an RPG, resulting in Wizardry Adventures, Nemesis. But before we go too deep into the game, we need to talk about creator of the game. While talking about Wizardry and ShareAlike, I have passingly mentioned the name of Linda Curie, a person whose name cannot just be glanced over while talking about Wizardry and ShareAlike. Born Linda ShareAlike, she was younger sister of Norman and Robert ShareAlike. Linda became one of the first persons to play Wizardry 1, Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord, and other projects of ShareAlike. Of course, she fell in love with the games, and after calls started to come into the ShareAlike asking for help, Robert suggested to create a hotline where she would help confused players to get through the game, since Linda knew the game quite well. This is how Linda got into gaming industry at the age of 14 or 15. Of course, she quickly learned many other things from her brothers and Robert Woodhead, gaining irreplaceable experience. Of course, she did not neglect her studies either, getting a bachelor's degree in economics from Wharton School of Business. For a while she worked for Sharp Electronics Computer System Division to gain experience outside of her family business. Finally, she returned to ShareAlike. She worked on now legendary game called Jagged Alliance, alongside with Sean Lang and Ian Curie. Her relationship with Ian would develop into a romantic one and would end in marriage, but that has little to do with what we're talking about today. Around this time, she would direct her own project, Nemesis The Wizardry Adventures. As I said before, main goal would be to create a simple game that would not intimidate new players, sort of a Wizardry light. Linda basically wanted to make a game like Myst, only difference would be that the game would be more action-based. The game was released in 1996. Nemesis was not received too well by the critics. Most thought that the game was very user-unfriendly, that it was riding on the success of older Wizardry games, and that it oversimplified Wizardry too much. So the plan to draw in new players sorta backfired. Nobody really wanted this kind of a game. The game itself is pre-rendered in 3D graphics, and well, it did not exactly age well. I don't want to knock graphic designers too much since this is an old game, but I would not say that graphic designers Cyrus Hogg and Craig Dugtray did the best job. Music is serviceable. It is composed by Eric Haberling, but really nothing in this game is above average. I would say critics assess the game quite well in this case. The game is pretty much a point-and-click adventure. There are few RPG elements. You get different weapons and armor. You do get some unique swords, which are very cool, but all of the armor pretty much looks the same, with very few exceptions. You do not start the game with character creation. You get the same character model, just this long-haired guy. At the start, you get attacked by a shadow dragon, but you survive, and the mage takes you in. He tells you about Netherine talismans, which awaken shadows. You also find out about magic here, which is divided by 4 elements. Magic is okay. Casting spells on yourself usually results in healing or defensive spells, while if you will cast it on the enemy, it will result in offensive spells. I would stick with a sword. Battle itself is in real time, but game also gives you enough time to strategize, although spells are a bit too slow. One terrible thing about this game is that it comes in 5 CDs. World itself is divided in separate areas, and you will need to switch CDs to play this game. And unlike most of the games where it limits CD switching, Wizardry Nemesis makes you switch CDs quite a lot. On the other hand, in 1998, a port came out for Sega Saturn, which only had 2 CDs, so this is less problematic. You start in the city where you can get to know the game. You will need to fix the well to get a key and talk to blacksmiths to get a sword. You also discover that you have a journal which fills in with information you collect. You can look at your character status by looking at the character sheet. Skills get better as you use them. For example, if you will use the sword with the right hand, your right-handed sword skills will get better. So there are some RPG elements. The game is fully voiced, and I have to say, voice acting is pretty good.
Virtually all knowledge lost, an entire society destroyed. Look here.
The story is the most important part in this type of games. Basically, after leaving the first area, you will meet Hargani behind a tree. He will explain that shadows are returning because of Netherine talismans. He also teaches you a spell and sends you into your first dungeon. In your journey, you will need to collect a lot of items, and thankfully you will get a lot of space for the items. Finally, I play a game where I can carry whatever I want. What I especially like is the belt for quick access to the items. There is also going to be a lot of puzzle solving. Really, nothing stands out. Everything is really easy. Anyways, after a while you will meet Joran, who explains more to you. Apparently Netherine mages discovered source of immense power. To channel the power, they crafted 7 talismans, but their society was destroyed because the power was too much to control. He sends you to find more talismans. You will find one held by Zelina. She tells you that her brother found the amulet which drove him crazy. She had to kill him. She warns you about Joran and sends you to talk to a dragon. Yistlin, the dragon, tells you that your amulet, which is used to cast spells, is a family heirloom that protects you from talisman's powers. He also mentions your ancestor, Tyran. He also gives you a powerful armor and Netherine talisman of Basilisk's Eye. And he even takes you to Nysaria. What a helpful guy! Nysaria is an interesting place where you will find library with books. How did I not mention books earlier? There are many interesting books to read in this game. What I was most excited about was finding an airship, but there is not much it can do. It's not like you can fly around the world. It just looks cool. At the final location, you are double-crossed by Joran, who takes away talismans, tells you that he's brother of your ancestor Tyran, and that he made 8th talisman. At which point, Nemesis of Nithos awakens and consumes Joran. Zelina appears and attacks Nemesis of Nithos, but he easily defeats her. You will need to click your amulet on him and then kill him. You can also use Basilisk's Eye before entering the room, which immediately kills him. There is not much I can say about Nemesis. It is an okay game. Okay, and that's it. The game is painfully average. There are no challenges whatsoever. This is coming from the guy who likes all the genres this game mixes. Mind you, it is not time-consuming or anything. You can spend your time doing something better. Not to mention, constant CD switching gets very old. It fails as a gateway to RPGs, in my opinion. Again, I want to stress this, Nemesis is not a bad game. It's just average, and I expect great from Wizardry and ShareAlike. Well, let's move on from our detour and go back to our journey, since our true Nemesis is still to be dealt with. And shout out to my brand new subscribers, David Sanders, Gunio Milhoranse, Andrew Gagwan, Brian Booker, Weston Epstein, and all the rest of you whose names unfortunately I do not see. Thanks for subscribing and welcome to my channel. If you like my video, please like, share and subscribe. And don't forget to leave a comment. Thank you very much.